Ladies and gentlemen, may I invite everyone to check the bookmark they received when entering the theater. You'll notice there are two versions. One in vibrant color and another in blue tone. Tonight, we have 180 audience members here, and 5 of you received the blue bookmark.
Now, let's begin with a small exercise. Could I ask everyone to please close your eyes for a moment?
If your bookmark is blue, I'd like you to open your eyes and stand up. The rest of the audience, please keep your eyes closed. For the standing ones, you could look around. The ratio of people standing should be 1 in 36. And that's the ratio of autistic children diagnosed in the latest survey, represented here by those standing among us.
For the rest of you, the 35 and 36, you could open your eyes now. Take a moment to look around. Are there any friends, families, or coworkers standing? Thank you, and feel free to sit down now. That was just a hypothetical situation, but it reflects a reality we cannot ignore. Let me leave the stage for Nova to elaborate.
Thank you, Hannah. Firstly, let me share a startling fact. A 2016 report, the Blue Book on the Needs of Autistic Families in China, revealed that less than 10% of autistic adults are employed. In my entire academic journey so far, I've only met a handful of them. So why are they and the broader disabled community so invisible in our society? Tonight, I want to show you how autistic individuals and the broader disabled communities are not just capable, they're vital, thriving contributors to our society. My journey began with a sociology project sponsored by EPI Space. There, I met Sun Qianwei, an ASD artist whose bold, spontaneous work energizes his audiences. And he's a raw artist. Raw art refers to creations by self-taught artists untouched by traditional conventions. So the bookmark in your hand was inspired by his masterpiece, Carbon Dioxide. And in 2022, our SCIE community fielded our own piece during Art Week, which is what the colorful bookmark in your hand was based on. Qianwei turned the colorless carbon dioxide into a calming work of art that I deeply admire, and his keen eye for color harmony sets him apart, driving his innovative and bold style. But individual strengths mean little without spaces to nurture them, and that's where communities like Bifur2 step in. Last summer, I worked as a one-day shopkeeper at Bifur2 in Chengdu, but they actually have shops all around China. And this is a charity shop that collects, remodels, and resells donated items at very affordable prices. For example, the dress I'm wearing today only costed me 29 yuan, which is cheaper than a meal in SCIE. So what's special about Bifur2? Its team is highly integrated of disabled and able-bodied partners. Of the 80 partners that deeply involved in its operation, more than 50% are disabled partners, and 4 of them hold managerial positions. The shop I worked at was managed by Tao Tao. He has a hearing disability, so we communicated through gestures. Amazingly, he could unpack boxes 5 times than I could while we were sorting donated items from a company. And yes, I admit I was a bit clumsy, but the key thing here is that Tao Tao and his colleague Cai Ning aren't just good for disabled workers, they're exceptional at their jobs. Bifur2 taught me something crucial. When we focus more on people's strengths instead of their limitations, we unlock potential we never imagined. So what's this strength perspective that I'm emphasizing? Traditionally, we judge autistic individuals on a linear scale, from high functioning to low functioning. But human ability isn't a straight line. It's a circle of skills, including language, motor skills, sensory perception, executive functioning, and so on. Everyone, disabled or not, can find a unique place on that circle. Yet, we are blinded by our fixation on normal. We tend to focus too much on the difficulties and challenges faced by disabled community. But different disabled people have different strengths. By allowing every type of individual to participate in the operation of our society, we can better solve the problems in the future. Nevertheless, here's a hard truth. The examples of Qianwei, Taotao, and Caining are not the majority. China has 86 million registered disabled people, and most of them still face systematic barriers, including access to adaptable workplaces, persistent stereotypes, and lack of social support. Solving this requires not only policies, but a cultural shift, one that replaces pity with respect and sees disability not as a tragedy, but as a facet of human diversity. What kind of world do we really want? Is it a world where only perfect lives can achieve success and happiness? Or is it a world that even if I draw the most unfortunate, worst script, my journey can still be met with respect and understanding, dignity and worth? And thankfully, that choice is always in our hands. This paragraph was spoken by Dr. Qianwei at TEDx Shenzhen 2024, and here at TEDxSCIE, I shared her words with you. So as we walk out of this room today, let's commit to seeing strengths before limitations, to building a world where inclusion isn't an afterthought, but the norm. Thank you. And here's a twist. The bookmark in your hand, whether it's blue or colorful, holds secrets that science hasn't fully named. Now please welcome Hannah to show us how autism is just the first brushstroke of a much bigger picture.
So, much like the bookmarks you received, where the blue ones represent autistic population and the colorful ones represent neurotypical population, doctors can diagnose individuals whose brain works differently from the majority of us. However, centuries ago, the whole concept of autism didn't exist. Autistic individuals were unfairly perceived as cold, weird, or even evil. And this shift in understanding reflects a broader trend. As science advances, we uncover more about the hidden biological, psychological, and environmental factors that underlie human behavior. And autism is far from the only example. Other conditions have undergone similar shift in perception. Children who struggled with reading were once labeled as lazy or unfocused. Today, we recognize that some people simply have dyslexia, which is differences in the brain that affects the part where you process written language. People with ADHD were once seen with only the lack of discipline. But today, we recognize it as a difference in the brain that processes attention and impulse. And the list goes on. And again, as science advances, we gain a deeper understanding of the factors that underlie human behavior. We become more understanding. We become more empathetic. And we look back in shock at how ignorant or insensitive we once were in perceiving or in blaming certain people for their difference in behavior. And this whole shift in perception really haunts me. Like, this whole thought keeps me up at night because it makes me wonder, what else? Will everything that makes different, our individual choices, our personalities, eventually be attributed to specific factors and receive a scientific label? Will the future generations look back at us and wonder how we could have been so insensitive or so rude in misjudging certain individuals for their difference in behaviors? No matter if that day, where everything is labeled, may come, it nonetheless validates the idea that neurodiversity, much like diversity in, say, race, gender, or sexual orientation, they are a natural part of human diversity. They're not a division between the so-called normal people and the abnormal people with their disorder. It has always been about us, all of us, existing across a broad circle of human cognition. Autistic, ADHD, dyslexic people can find a foothold on that circle, and so can you and me. Remember the bookmarks we handed out to you guys when you entered the Halo Theater? We told you that only 1 in 36 of them was different. But actually, that was a lie. Yes, a lie. In reality, none of the bookmarks we handed out today is the same. Every single one of them is unique. You might not have realized the differences because they're small. For example, the circles at the top left corner of yours might be more greenish, while your neighbors might be more purplish. And these small differences reflect what we were just talking about. When differences in behaviors are small, science does not yet have a label for them. But as science advances, we're uncovering more about the hidden differences between our behavior, difference as small as the distinction between a very, very dark blue and black. And maybe in the future, we'll finally be able to diagnose why some people can do TikTok dances in public while others cringe at the whole idea. Why some have to procrastinate for hours in anxiety while others can just dive into their work. And why some plan out their weeks in details while others impulsively jump on a road trip overnight. Eventually, we might reach the conclusion that what we think of as our personalities, our choices, our habits, even our free will, is shaped by a complex web of neurobiology, of psychology, of genetics, environment, early childhood experiences, and so much more. And with more and more of these clear understandings, there will be more and more labels that explains why each of us are different from one another. More and more labels for diversity. And with more and more of these labels, a choice emerges. Do we weaponize these labels? Do we use labels to systematically deny certain groups the access to education or job opportunities? Or do we see labels as tools for understanding? We use labels to recognize that diversity was never about the division between normal people and abnormal people. It has always been about us, about the richness of human experiences. So, the next time you look at your bookmark with its unique shade of color, remember, it is not a deviation from the normal. It is proof that differences is the norm. Thank you.